Asian Power recently caught up with Tony SEGADELLI of Al Energy to talk about its future expansion plans in Asia.
Al is the bird of wisdom, and likewise, being consultants to the power industry, we are providing knowledge to our customers. The reason that we picked a bird rather than my name is because we're focused on delivering products, working with customers, working with the greater community, and of course our employees are a key part of who we are. And it's not just a case of it's me, it's a case of the company being the deliverer of the product. In many ways we compete against the major players, and we would put ourselves up in the bracket of competing against them rather than the one-man bands or the very small companies. But that means that we do development work, feasibility studies and tendering, whether it's tendering to getting contractors to bid or whether it's tendering to governments. During construction we do detailed design, we do construction management, and we work for lenders and for owners. And during the operations phase we do operations and maintenance, and we do loss adjuster work, plus we do due diligences for mergers and acquisitions. But where we would differentiate ourselves from the global companies would be that we understand the market better than anybody else. Southeast Asia is where we were born, and we have employees from all around the region, plus the expats that we have all been in Southeast Asia for at least 10 years, myself almost for 2 decades. So we truly understand the local market. Many of our global companies, they will get a project from a customer, and then they will phone up the US, UK, Australia and get an answer that fits perfectly in those countries. But in Southeast Asia, what works here is very different to what will work in other countries. The Philippines is very much a growing market. After many years of underinvestment, there's blackouts in some regions and a high risk of blackouts in other parts of the country. The technology that is going to be used here, a lot of it will be coal. My first ever power project was a coal-fired power plant, the largest one in the Philippines. And many of my employees have a lot of coal-fired experience, so we understand coal-fired power plants better than many people. There's a intention in the country to move into natural gas. Thailand is 75% natural gas-fired power plants, so we can leverage the knowledge we have from Thailand in the Philippines. Thirdly, the market has just, or the government has just released the feed-in tariff for renewable energy. Firstly, it is similar to the EU integration, but thankfully the banks out here have learnt a lot of lessons from the '97 crash, and there is huge liquidity in the banks. Just between Thailand and the Philippines, for example, there's $90 billion in the banks, which is sufficient to bail out Spain. But what they're doing with that money is that they are looking to invest in infrastructure, whether that's roads, rail, bridges, but also in terms of the power industry. So there's a lot of interest from the lenders, there's a lot of interest from governments, and there's a lot of interest from developers. Some of the banks have a lot of experience in the power sector, and they're looking to move around the region. We likewise are looking to move around the region. One of the things that will happen is there'll be a better flow of people and skills, which is very key to the type of work that we do. We will be moving, for example, people from the Philippines into other parts of Southeast Asia, just like we do move Thais around the region as projects require. And the government, the region has been talking about integrating the power industry for more than a decade, and it is slowly happening. We, for example, my engineers worked on cross-border projects from Thailand into neighbouring countries, and also there are links from Singapore into their neighbouring countries as well.
Good.
We have recently won a project in Myanmar, and we are expecting there to be a lot of work coming up in the country. The government is very keen on bringing in foreign direct investment, and as part of that then consultants will need to come in and provide the expertise, whether it's to help the government in planning or whether it's implementing the projects.
Yeah, what are your plans for Myanmar then?
Our plans for Myanmar are to assist them both in generation and in transmission. We are talking to people about coal plants and about biomass plants and about wind projects, and we're also talking to the government about transmission projects.
Yeah, I do.
At the moment we've pretty much focused on we have offices in the northern part of ASEAN, and we were looking to, the next step would be to set up an office in the southern part of ASEAN, whether that be Kuala Lumpur or Singapore or Jakarta, will depend on where the work is in the future and where we best can interact with our clients. Singapore has a lot of foreign companies based in it, particularly equity companies and the lenders, so we may end up basing ourselves there, or we may base ourselves in Jakarta or KL, depending on the projects that we're winning in the future.